It has been a marvelous year. From WandaVision in January to Black Widow in July and ending the year with both Hawkeye and No Way Home, the MCU fandom ate good. 2022 is promising to be a good year as well. For those who thought the MCU was dead after Avengers Endgame, you were wrong. The MCU is alive and well. So, from me, Grandmaster of Sakar, to you, my loyal subjects, and the whole of the Marvel fandom, I wish you a great 2022 full of amazing content. Happy New Year, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Review of Champions. It's time to talk about the Hawkeye finale. So this is Christmas. With me are Mr. R.R. Stanton.
Hey guys, good to be back.
Mr. Taylor first.
Hey.
Sitting on his throne room in Hades, Mr. Lord Deathman.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And introducing a new member of our podcast and review, for joining us for the first time, LokisMom.
Hi there. Glad to be here. Happy New Year.
And we're happy to have you here. Before we start, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and maybe join our forum on Sakar, sakar.freeforums.net. It's a nice little forum. You can find great discussion there, great people, and if you're willing, you can be on the podcast to review. Just sign up. Who knows? We're going to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, go check it out first and then come back to the video. Well, without further ado, introducing a new member, so I give the first turn to her. LokisMom, what were your quick thoughts and impressions of the Hawkeye finale?
Well, I'm actually looking at the very last part of it right now. I was doing a quick rewatch before the show started and didn't get quite to it, but I did watch it when it came out last week, and I really thought it was the best episode of the season. It wrapped everything up nicely, and of course, you know, it had the holiday spirit and just solid action right through the middle. You know, a good portion of it. That's just what it was, just from one thing to another. So, you know, I don't have too much to complain about it. I think, you know, I have some sort of maybe more existential complaints about the whole series, but as far as the series itself, as far as entertainment value and everything, I give it an A+.
Okay, well, great. Taylor?
I agree. It was a great season finale. I did a great job of wrapping up the main story, as well as either wrapping up or advancing the other side stories that were going on. There was a lot happening in this very short series, and it did a good job wrapping it up. So overall, I'm very pleased with the final episode. It had great action. It had humor. It had emotion, especially with Yelena and Clint. Yeah, overall, excellent.
Or Deathman?
Yeah, I concur. If I have any complaints, I'm going to plagiarize LokisMom and say that they are high level and existential. But this episode itself was really a blast. I mean, squeezing in as much as they did in the 55 minutes that they had to do all this, I think this is the most bang for your buck you've ever gotten out of a Marvel series. I mean, LARPers, you've got Draculas, you've got 2 Hawkeyes and Madame Mask and a Kingpin, and I just really didn't expect to get this much out of the episode. Even the Echo and that subplot went really well. Overall, very satisfying episode and a lot of pointers to the future of what's to come with the Disney Plus series. So not only did I really enjoy this, but I was really highly impressed with the episode.
Okay. Last but certainly not least, Arch, tell me.
So this is no spoilers, right?
Just quick thoughts.
Okay. No, yeah. I thought it was very enjoyable. It still reminded me of like the Netflix era, just where it was a casual watch that was like super enjoyable with everything. I thought they did a great job establishing everybody. I loved Kate by the end of it. I thought they got her to a certain competent level where she's a badass, but you know, they're not taking her like, you know, to some crazy ridiculous like Avenger level yet. She's still sort of an understudy, and Echo was great. A lot of the reveals were great, and all of the characterizations were good. I thought the thing that I find most enjoyable is how they tied it into the MCU as a whole, from the point where Kate first witnessed Hawkeye and how they drug it back in, played with Hawkeye's family and brought them back in. It just really felt like an organic part of the whole, and I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. I must say the finale did justice to the whole show. Anyone who has been following this series knows we are actually raving about the show, and well, the finale stuck the landing, and I really enjoyed it. The chemistry between Yelena and Kate is off the charts. I mean, I love them together, and I hope we will get a lot of interaction between them in the future of the MCU. Well, yeah, we got to mention the big guy. He brought his A game as well. I absolutely loved seeing him back. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. I really enjoyed that. But let's take a deeper dive into it. Taylor, I'll give you first turn. Well, is there anything you want to criticize about it, or just rave on about the show?
I'm going to rave on about the show, Grandmaster.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was fabulous. From the very beginning of the episode, Kate has just found out that her mother has made a deal with the devil, the big white bald devil known as Kingpin. It hurts her. It hurts her a lot, but she wants to make things right, and Clint is there to help. She even told Clint to go home to his family. He said, no, we're partners. It's your mess is my mess. And then he got a bunch of really cool trick arrows put together, and then they crashed the formal party. Guys start shooting at him from across the window. Yelena shows up. All heck breaks loose. There's 10,000 guys in tracksuits with guns. Huge action scene. That action scene on the ice was phenomenal. All right, it was perfect. Street level, 2 expert hand-to-hand fighters with bows and arrows against a whole bunch of street fighters with clubs who had lost all their guns because a magnet arrow took all the guns away. That's great. We don't need a, it would be a really short fight scene if they just shot Hawkeye and Kate there on the ice. So I'm glad that the guns got taken away and then they had to just fight it out. So that was all excellent. And then, of course, the Kingpin. D'Onofrio was fantastic. The Kingpin is such a great villain. And Kate, trying to stop the Kingpin, getting literally ragdolled all over a toy, FAO Schwartz to be exact. It was the biggest toy store in New York, and Kate was getting thrown all around it into every toy display in the place until she figured out a technological way. And did anyone notice that wasn't a coin that she flipped to shock the Kingpin? It was actually one of his cufflinks, which they had foreshadowed earlier, showing him doing his cufflinks. And she used that to set off the electronic thing that exploded and knocked him out. So yeah, all great setup for Echo in the future. Great heartwarming Christmas ending where they went home and they've totally bonded. Now she's bonding with his family and his wife. You just couldn't ask for anything better. Okay, even the owl in the Christmas tree was spot on. Every detail. It was excellent.
It was my wife's favorite part, the owl in the Christmas tree.
Owl.
She's a fan of owls, so that warmed her heart. Lord Deathman, is the Kingpin dead?
Is the Kingpin dead? I'm gonna go with no. If you can take a bullet, if you can take an arrow straight to the sternum and just break it off, I'm gonna say that the Kingpin's made of sterner stuff, and we're gonna see him again. But like my Confederates on this show, the biggest thing that stands out about this episode is that it pays off everything so well, all of the relationships, all of the characters, and again, it's an incredible juggling act. I think people in their reviews that I've seen elsewhere have really taken it for granted that this show handled Clint, Kate, Yelena, Kingpin, a bunch of LARPers, Clint's family, Duquesne, all these characters so expertly in this, really, really finessed juggling act. The partnerships between Kate and Clint are really, really satisfying when they finally embrace that they are partners, that they are sharing that role of Hawkeye. Yelena's cathartic release of sort of finally getting at the emotions that she has surrounding her sister's death. You know, you kind of find out that it wasn't necessarily about killing Clint, but really sort of getting that emotional release that she needed. I think it was all done excellently. And then they throw in like Kate Bishop hand-to-hand combat with Kingpin. I'm like, who made more hours in the episode? Like, who made more minutes for all of this to happen, and in such an excellent and satisfying payoff? But I will end all of the praise and all the glowing praise that I have for this episode saying that my pitch for the spin-off for this series is following the tracksuits after they get shrunken down and whisked away by that owl. We need to find out what happens to those guys. As they do they ever get away from the owl, and if so, what happens? That needs to be 6 episodes of its own Disney Plus series, The Draculas. But that being said, do I have any complaints? I don't really think so. I love the holiday spirit of this episode, so the timing is great, and Disney always knows how to manipulate you that way. You know, if anything, I'm still a little hesitant about what Echo might bring to the future. So again, it's an external existential complaint, but we'll see. You know, I'm ready to wait and see in terms of how all those developments actually pan out. But great series, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved every aspect of it. Well, Arch, did we just see the best mid-credit scene ever?
Did we just see the best mid-credit scene ever? Dude, you stumped me because I had like 4 other things I was going to talk about. What? Freshen me up. What are we talking about?
The musical number.
No, goddamn, no. Hold on. Jesus Christ, that was painful. I sat through the entire thing going, is this going anywhere? Oh, geez, that's awful. First of all, I'm not a big musical fan. That was bad. Did anybody like that?
Well, the fans were asking for it when the first trailer dropped.
Chitauri soldiers on stage? Come on, you gotta love it.
When the first trailer dropped, the fans were like, what we wanted to see and what we now wanted to see, and what they wanted to see was Rogers the Musical. Marvel Case that was. Come on.
First of all, I'm glad they did it. I think it's hysterical. It's just like purposefully painful. You know what I'm talking about? Like yeah. It was exactly what people would do in real life. If they did that, if that really happened, I bet there would be a musical that bad. I bet there would be. I don't know.
Go on.
Look, and it even pays off in No Way Home. If you guys were watching carefully, there's a Rogers the Musical Easter egg in No Way Home.
And that totally was also showed in the last when Peter is swinging through New York. You see the tree and the ice rink as well. So they are connected.
Who is the lead singer and dancer in the production number? Who is the character?
Captain America.
No. Coulson. Coulson is the star of that production number. Go back and look at it. He does the whole thing. He introduces it, goes through the whole, and you know, and sells it and ends the song. And so that was a little, in a way, that was a tribute to Coulson, if you think about it.
Very interesting. I like that.
I did not spot that. Thank you. But Arch, go on about what you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, no, I mean there were several big things that I just took away from the whole series and from the ending as well. I mean I absolutely love I love the Netflix series, and seeing D'Onofrio back is just one of the biggest wins that they've had just period throughout the entire series. I think it's great that they did that. I think it's the absolute right move, and combine that with Murdoch showing up in No Way Home. I just love that they've included those characters. I think it's the right get. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I really can't. One of the other things I thought was a super big win was Yelena, and it's because primarily when they first started talking about her being in this show, it was one of those, why is Yelena in this sort of moments that I didn't know what they were going to do with her or how. I started to think, wait, is this, are they adding too much to this? But I absolutely loved her interplay with Clint and needing to know how, what happened to her sister. I thought that was great, and they handled that really well. I thought it was one of the biggest moments in the show, actually. And then just the further detail on Clint's family, it's one of those questions that I don't think very many people are asking, like, too much. It wasn't a huge pressing issue in the MCU. Like, where did Clint meet, his wife, like, you know, what have they been doing exactly? But I thought that was cool. I thought that they handled it and it makes total sense for his character, and I thought that was cool. It's low key, it's not a big deal, but I thought it was, you know, added some depth to his whole family situation. So I thought that was great. The only thing that this isn't a complaint, but I do wonder. I was left wondering, sort of at the end with the Kingpin situation. I don't think he's not dead. First of all, I don't think they're going to kill him and leave it a mystery, and then just come back later and be like, "Oh yeah, he definitely died," and move on. So he's alive somewhere, and he's going to be doing something. But I did think it was an interesting choice to leave that cliffhanger with Kingpin kind of losing right off the bat. I thought maybe they bring him in and he'd somehow be victorious in some sort of way. But so I'm really interested where they've left him and where they go from here with that character. I don't know where they can go because they've kind of had him lose. So I'm kind of curious.
I think they did this way so people would be interested in the Echo show.
Yeah, probably. That's probably where that goes.
Well, Loki's mom. How about Yelena and Hawkeye? How did you see that scene?
Yeah, I think it was it kind of rolls into all the sort of redemption thing that Clint's going through, with thinking of, you know, his time as the Ronin and all the violence, and I guess he would categorize it as evil at this point in his life that he's trying to find some redemption with. And of course, he was able to do that somewhat with Black Widow. They sort of healed each other and they had each other to talk to. And now he's sort of reaching out here to Yelena as her little sister. So he feels a deep kindred spirit for her, and probably maybe even a love at this point. And she's trying to come to terms with her sister's death, and like I say, she probably doesn't know the details of what went down, because, you know, we don't, just like we don't know what happened with the Bin Laden capture, we don't know the details and everything that went on. The people in that fantasy world, at least, they're not going to know what happened on the planet with Thanos and all of it. So, yeah, she comes to her realization that what she's fighting against is the wrong thing, that you know, this is her kindred spirit, and therefore she's able to reach out somewhat to Clint, and there's a true healing there. And of course, in all these 4 scenes, we saw these 2 relationships playing out. There was Echo and Kingpin, and then there was Echo and Kazi, and then I'm sorry, but she had played that a little bit earlier, but then it was Kingpin, and she was just sort of fighting against this. Won a relationship with Kingpin and oh my gosh, her name just went out of my head. Eleanor's daughter. Remind me, guys.
Kate.
Kate Bishop. Okay, there you go. A senior moment there. So, and then Kate and her mom and all that, and then finally there's the swordsman. I guess that's who he is. That Duquesne, Jack Duquesne. I guess he's probably all along. He's been the good guy behind the scenes, and I think, and I dare say that he and Eleanor have been working together to get her released, to get her out from under Kingpin. So I think that may be where that was going. I'm not sure. I may be off on that, but I just got that feeling that all through it, I felt like, oh, there's something going on with this guy. He's you know, there's a wink and a nod, too much tongue in cheek. This guy's not who we think he is on screen. So just that. So yeah, I thought that, like I say, I think this whole redemption arc that Marvel in itself, I mean, it just runs all through the whole movies and TV and everything. It's very important to them. And I think it played out real well here.
Okay. Yeah, you said earlier you had some little complaints about the show as a whole, or did I misunderstand you?
No, you didn't. And the complaint, and I kind of went through it when I was with Jeff. I did most of the shows with Jeff on the MCU Bleeding Edge. And there's this thing that here we got this crime boss. And okay, he's a horrible, evil guy, and all these people, they're doing all these crimes and everything, and he's bragging about it. He's the king of the city. I own this town. And 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they just had an alien invasion. how in the world is this guy a real threat to anybody anymore? I mean, the real threat is way above us at this point. So I think Marvel, they're really not connecting. I think they did it a little bit more here in Hawkeye with the LARPers. And you saw one of the things that, they look like they're a joke, but not really. There's people who are traumatized by what happened, and they're trying to recreate this, recreate themselves some way as modeled after the superheroes. That, this is, find your superhero energy or whatever it is. And so this is what they're going through. And you saw it a little bit with Kate, because she, particularly when the early scene when she was still a child, well, what if they come back? That's always, I can't imagine that not being on there. What if we knew for sure we're 10 seconds always from a nuclear exchange with Russia or with China? I mean, we just know it's more than likely going to happen.
Yeah.
Boy, that would just reorder our thoughts real quick. So I think I think that and maybe they'll do it in the multiverse. I don't know. Probably not. I hope they really get that humanity aspect brought forward much more, because it's very reflective of what's actually going on in our own lives if we stop and think about it.
Yeah.
It's fantasized, overblown, and made ridiculous and silly, but there's a truth behind it.
Yeah. Well, does anybody else want to say something about the complete show? How do you see this show? Is it the best they did so far? Is it in the middle of the pack? Is it the bottom of the list?
I can speak to that. I hate ranking things. It's just because it assumes that whatever's at the bottom of the list is something that you hated. I am putting Hawkeye. It just I just don't get it conceptually. But anyway, if you were forcing me to put Hawkeye somewhere in the stack of where it comes in terms of my overall enjoyment of the series, I think it would be somewhere near the bottom middle. And really, because I just think thematically some of the other shows have been really stronger and a bit more compelling, and Hawkeye feels a little lighter, like a light romp through the holiday season, a little bit of adventure. This one is really slick, and the show just seems to feel like it goes quicker than any of the other shows either. It's not so much of a nail biter from week to week, but still strong performances, strong developments in the characters, pushing them forward thematically, whether that's out of the MCU, which I hope Clint isn't leaving to be replaced by Kate Bishop. I kind of, still want Hawkeye original flavor to stick around. But so my complaints again, high level, are that, I hope I'm not quite ready for the status quo change in which, all the Avengers look completely different. And the reshape of that landscape that this is setting up. But that's more my problem than I would put that on my list of things to blame myself for, rather than the creators of the series. But yeah, great show.
Well, now Taylor is gonna tear the show apart, because he's always so negative.
No, I kind of have an opposite view from Lord Deathman. This is near the top of the series for me. In fact, the only one I would say is better is WandaVision. And all of them have been great. I've given all of them great ratings. But I think this one is second on my list at the moment. It was great. I love a good street level superhero story, and it brought in some great new characters, brought in some old characters that we didn't know were coming back. So overall, I think it was great. One thing I expect, and you guys can laugh, but I expect that they will produce a full-length Rogers the Musical, and it will be on Disney Plus before next Christmas as a special.
Well, if that happens, I will be happy. I absolutely adore that mid-credit scene. Okay, I'm gonna throw a little bomb here, and you probably won't agree with me, but I'm still gonna do it. That Rolex, that proved me right. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not MCU canon, because you saw it when it flipped. Shield logo, number 19. Agent 19 was Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird. So, we have a new Mockingbird. Therefore, the old Mockingbird doesn't exist. Therefore, it's not MCU canon. Discuss. Who wants to go first?
You really want me to discuss this?
I was hoping we could.
It's a pretty watch.
I mean, I can end this discussion. Okay. Talking about canon doesn't matter anymore. It's a multiverse. Alligator Loki is canon. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is canon. The What If cartoon, which is supposed to be stories that are non-canon, is canon. Everything is canon. So either she's a sister, she's another Agent 19, she's a recast, or she's a variant. It doesn't matter. If they want it to be canon someday, they can make it canon. It's a multiverse. Everything is canon.
Okay, boss. Arch?
Yeah, for the sake of for the simplicity of what you're discussing here, I think by canon we're specifically talking about it is followed in this one singular timeline. We're not branching it in or doing any weird stuff.
Exactly.
That's what you're talking about. So, you know what? Listen, I get it. I'm not going to fight too hard on this. I've always been a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan.
Me too, by the way. Me too. Don't get me wrong. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just don't think it's MCU canon because it's not made by Marvel Studios.
Totally. And I get what you're saying. It grew out of Avengers, clearly. So I've always accepted it as such. And if I looked at something like this, I would have to just say, you know what? We just saw a James Bond film where there were two 007s. Like the fact that it's also an Agent 19 doesn't even faze me in the slightest. I still accept that show for what it is. I like it as canon. I don't see a reason not to treat it as canon, but you clearly don't have to, so I'm not going to press that too hard.
Okay. Anyone else would like to say something about it?
You know, I don't really care one way or the other with regards to the issues of canonicity, but I will say that I did feel somewhat slighted on behalf of the original actress that played Mockingbird on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was like, this kind of you know, it kind of discredited her work in a kind of weird way that so I wasn't really thinking of it in terms of like, oh, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is definitely not canon or canon, but I really liked the Mockingbird on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I just didn't really see the need. It just seemed superfluous to replace her with a character we thought was just Hawkeye's wife, you know.
Okay.
But it's a minor nit.
Okay. LokisMom, do you have anything to say about this issue?
Well, I could care less about the canon, whatever that is. I mean, well, I know what it is, but I'm being facetious. As far as the Mockingbird versus in S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hawkeye, I didn't even realize that. And I watched the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. series all the way through those first 26 episode series. Anyway, my feeling about the S.H.I.E.L.D. universe is that that was a totally different universe from the day that show started. So I don't think they have anything to do with the MCU universe. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's do a quick rating round for the final episode of Hawkeye, and then we move into the section called Canon Faller. LokisMom, you gave it an 8+, 8.25?
Yeah, I give it a, like I said, entertainment value, A+. As far as you're comparing all four of the series, yeah, I'll put it right beside Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it's very similar. I think Hawkeye was better done, but very similar in tone, theme, and everything. And then you had the two very experimental with WandaVision, which took me a while to warm up to, and I had to go back and watch it twice, or watch it a second time too, and then I got it. And then of course Loki, I'm just madly in love with Loki, and you've got the Loki hat on there, and
I will never disrespect your son.
No.
Okay, LDN, what's your rating for the final episode of Hawkeye?
Fine. I already said A+. A 10.
My-
What do you want? A plus 10.
LDM.
Okay. Episode rating is a definite strong 9, and then the overall series, I'm going to give a 9.5. It really is way up there in terms of what it accomplishes for the lots of satisfying payoffs, great action, slick, polished the way Disney typically does it, and very few complaints. So yeah, a 9.5.
Okay, I see Archer still coming up with something incredible, I guess. So I go to Taylor first. What's your number?
Yeah, the episode is 10 out of 10. And the whole series, I mean, it was only 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
I think I gave 1 or 2 of them individually 9 out of 10 and the rest 10 out of 10. So the series overall works out to a 10 out of 10.
Fair enough. Arch.
I wasn't really thinking of anything, but I will give it 100 plunger arrows. Like you take all of them. All right, but
I can accept that.
in terms of like where it stands, I mean, I think so. The MCU's done a great job of balance of like different types of shows. They needed a grounded sort of. I loved taking Hawkeye and Clint out of the crazy in-game Avengers sort of realm and just putting him more on like street level. I think it's like very much his speed. I think he blends in. I thought it was great. I think they needed to do that. Personally speaking, like things that are just weird and bizarre, like Loki and Scarlet Witch, or WandaVision rather, are more my speed. I just like the quirkiness of those, but this is absolutely necessary, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, I gave the final episode also 10 out of 10, and the whole show, I think, a 9 out of 10. It's one of my more favorite shows. My favorite remains Falcon and the Winter Soldier, without a doubt. But I love. I'm a sucker too for the more crazy stuff, but somehow the more street level, realistic stuff sits better with me this year. But we'll see how that goes next year. Okay, then we move on to our section called Cannon Fodder. Cannon Fodder. And this time we're not going to discuss new fan theories, of course, because the show is over. But we're going to do a little recap on what we saw before. And I'm going to go quickly. Well, the champions remain undefeated. We won again against Fandom. The Fandom had 2 theories that turned out to be true. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin will show up in Hawkeye was completely right. And that the Rolex was Laura Barton's was also completely right. Actually, on both accounts, our panel was split through the middle, and we only scored half a point on each. So, well, there was not really anything spectacular to see. Kate's mom is Madame Mask in the villain of show she killed a month. Madame Mask remains to be seen. She was not named as such, so I put it as half right. Well, since our panel was split through the middle, and we gained both half a point there. Kate's father was not alive, was also a hard sell, so there we took the lead. Swordsman was Ronin before Hawkeye? Nope, but the panel went wrong there because we actually bought that theory or held it, so only Arch did sell it, so Arch was right, but that was not enough to give us a point. Well, the other ones were hard sells where we won. Hawkeye gets the helmet. That was an interesting one. Or a comic accurate costume. I had to go with half right because he didn't get a helmet, but the costume was there. And well, we scored both half a point. And then, well, Matt Murdock will be showing up. He didn't, but well, we sold it enough to gain half a point. But some people bought it. Poor Deafman, you cost us half a point there. In the end, we won 8.5 points to 3. The fandom is improving, but still not good enough to beat our champions. See you next time for Moon Knight, I guess, for Cannon Fodder. We'll see, or whatever Marvel show will come up next. Maybe Lord Deafman will moderate that if I can convince him to. Oh,
It won't take much convincing.
good. Well, that will conclude our review for the Hawkeye finale. So this is Christmas. Before we finish, I would like to ask you all to hit that subscribe button and notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. Join the forum on Sakar. That way you will never miss us and we won't have to miss you. Bye.